I know it sounds a little crazy, but July is the perfect time to start planning your holiday art. While everyone else is thinking about summer break, this is when working artists are pitching winter collections, prepping products, and getting ahead. So grab your sketchbook. We're making a mini holiday collection that can actually help you sell your art.
Hi there, I'm Stacie Bloomfield. I'm so excited that you agreed to join me because together we're going to make a 3-piece mini holiday collection of art. And with that art, you're going to be able to do so many things. You can try to license it and add it to your art portfolio. You can use this art to get a jump on developing holiday products to sell in your own store. You can use these designs to put on print-on-demand products to sell on places like Zazzle and Redbubble and TeePublic. I mean, really, the possibilities are endless. And that's my whole point of view is let's create a few strong pieces of art and leverage them to create income. Now, sometimes whenever you begin to think about selling your art, it's really intimidating. You don't know really the type of art that sells. But I have been in business selling my art on places like Etsy, on my own website, wholesaling to over 1,000 brick and mortar stores, and licensing my designs with places like West Elm, Crate and Barrel, and Moda Fabrics. So I know a thing or two about what sells, and let me tell you what sells: holiday art. So that's why we are going to make holiday art this time of year so that we can get ahead. Get ahead on the trends, get ahead on the product development, get ahead on our pitching so that in the future we see our art on products. Are you excited? Today we're going to start by going over the design brief that I've created for you. You're going to be making 3 pieces of art plus a sell sheet and a logo. We're going to start with one hero illustration. Then you're going to create a secondary supporting repeat pattern. Don't worry if you don't know how to make repeat patterns. And then we're going to make a blender or a low volume pattern to complement the entire collection. So 3 pieces of art, 1 sell sheet, and 1 logo. We're going to talk about planning. We're going to go through the design brief. I'm going to explain terms to you that I want you to know. Honestly, the planning is what allows you to move quickly through the art creation process. It's going to be really important, the fundamentals of how you successfully start and finish a collection.
So the title of this design brief is called Happy Snowman, and the instructions are make a 3-piece mini art collection for holiday art. I want you to create a hero illustration and 2 accompanying illustrated patterns using the theme above. Inside this design brief, you will find the ideal customer that you are designing for, the requested color story, complete with hex numbers, the file delivery specifications, meaning whenever you're done with your art, how do you need to format it and turn it in to your imaginary client, and examples of each of the 3 types of art that are needed for this challenge. So today, I want you to imagine with me that TJ Maxx has emailed you and wants to hire you to create a mini holiday collection. They want a main hero illustration and then 2 accompanying illustrated patterns to go with the hero art. They intend to put your designs on holiday-themed gift bags, gift wrap, gift tags, and more decorations, so the ideal customer that you are designing for is the TJ Maxx customer. TJ Maxx has made it very clear that they are not looking for nursery art or art for kids. They don't mind playful, quirky art, but they are selling to adults, not children. TJ Maxx has found historically that snowmen are universally appealing and timeless, so they want you to create a snowman piece of art with coordinating patterns. However, they don't want your coordinates to also feature snowmen. TJ Maxx has kindly given you a color story or a color theme that they would like you to use because these are the colors that they are seeing trending across the board. So they're giving you traditional Christmas colors. It's a warm red, a green, a nice aqua, desaturated blue, a almost navy near black color, and then a white. And you're going to see underneath that there are hex codes like we just talked about. So you might be wondering, what is a hex code? Well, it's a way of identifying colors whenever you are designing in RGB format. So it's a 6 numerical code that you use. You can type it into your computer to find the exact color to match the specifications that your client has, so that you can get the exact color right whenever you're creating art. You can put this into your iPad, you can use this in Adobe Illustrator, or if you're creating your art by hand, you can color mix your colors with paint or colored pencils to try to get close to these colors if possible. Now, because all of these designs are going to be digitally printed on their paper good products, they want you to digitally deliver the products either as a PDF, an Adobe Illustrator file, or a Photoshop file. If you're working by hand, you're going to scan in your final artwork so that you have it as a PDF. If you're working on your iPad or an Adobe Illustrator, you're simply going to save and export as a PDF or as an Adobe Illustrator file. Then, for our use, so that we can see the work that you're making, I want you to upload your finished art to our Facebook group as a JPEG so that we can all see it. So you're going to save your artwork professionally for your client, but also as a JPEG for us. In terms of sizing, you are going to make each piece of art as an 8 by 8 piece of art, 300 dpi. Now, 300 dpi is the standard minimum size that professionals need to make their art at so that they can be reproduced. Now we have examples of the finished art. Now I'm going to show you my art as an example, but my goal for you during this challenge is not to create art that looks just like mine. I want you to use your signature style, your own creative voice to express this theme. And yeah, you might be thinking, snowmen, I don't like snowmen. You did not like the movie Frozen, I get it. But snowmen sell. So how can you bring your own unique point of view? What is your secret sauce when it comes to creating art so that you can make a really awesome snowman piece of art and then 2 supporting illustrations? These are my examples. This is my happy snowman. And then I am going to ask you to make a winter floral to accompany this illustration, plus a simple low volume background pattern. So I made a simple stripe that's been hand drawn. I want to inspire you to know that you don't have to be the most prolific surface pattern designer in order to make art that sells. I have licensed stripes, polka dots, textures. I have provided you with several examples of inspirational art so that you can see that there are so many different ways to create a snowman. I've credited each of the artists or businesses below the pieces of art, but I want you to see that it's okay to make a snowman that looks different than your average traditional snowman. So look at the art here that we have from Victoria Johnson, how playful it is with the scarf and the fun little leafy elements. Look at that poster from Dot to Dot London. Now that is a fun, inviting snowman. I've also seen this watercolor snowman on the left. You can do traditional snowmen, you can do innovative snowmen. The world is your oyster today when it comes to snowmen and interpreting it with your voice. Now, when it comes to your secondary illustration, I am going to highly encourage you to make a winter floral. Now, florals are always huge sellers, and I bet the next time you're walking through TJ Maxx or your other big box store during the holidays, you're going to find that there is some kind of winter floral with tiny florals or berries and some leafy elements on display on products. That's because it sells. It feels very approachable, but also beautiful. So if character art is not typically the thing that you do with a snowman, don't worry, you can express yourself through this beautiful winter floral. I've gathered several examples of winter florals for you to take a look at. So we have art here from Lauren Rich Art. We have fabric from Robert Kaufman. We have designer Make Owner UK and Hip Kid Designs. Notice how each of these pieces of art looks different from each other, yet they're all able to create a beautiful leafy winter floral. And finally, when it comes to our blender or low volume pattern, I want you to remember that the simplest solution is so often the best solution when it comes to creating a great blender or low volume design. I want you to focus on simple elements that repeat, such as a stripe or a dot or a paintbrush stroke or a simple texture. Less is more when it comes to a blender. It's going to complete your mini collection and it's going to give your client a lot to work with. Think about all the different parts of bags or cards that could use a small little repeat pattern. That's the type of art that you're making. So with that, I think I've explained everything that we need you to do in this design brief. Pull out paper and a pencil and start sketching. I want you to remember that you're working in a square, an 8 by 8 frame. So whenever you're creating your sketches, draw a square first and then fill in that space. When you're making your snowman, you can either do an icon or a full scene, whatever works for you. And then whenever you're thinking about your repeat patterns, today is the day to design the elements that will go in your repeat pattern. So with your floral, your winter floral, make 3 or 4 variations of the same winter berry leafy illustration from different points of view, different scales. Sketch those out today. When it comes to your blender, I want you just to have fun with your pencil and make lines and dashes and marks and see if you can come up with anything simple and fun that can work as your low volume.
We're going to work on the main illustration for our collection, our hero illustration. And as you know, if you've read the design brief, we are making snowmen. So what I have done is I've pulled out a new piece of paper in my sketchbook and I've made a square and I have started drawing out my snowman along with a few callouts and things that I would like to add to it to make sure that this snowman looks like it's mine. I have a few things that I do in my character work to make sure that my style is signature, such as adding pink cheeks, adding lots of little line work details, and then in the snowman itself, I want to add some delicate line work with some loop-de-loops and some leaves and some dots to add character and to really make the snowman stand out. I really love making artwork by hand, but I also love using my iPad and the Procreate app. So for you use whatever medium that you want to work with. But whatever you do, I want you to feel comfortable making the artwork that is exciting for you. I'm going to work today in Procreate, so I'm going to show you quickly how I set up my canvas, laid out my colors, and used one of my favorite tools to create my illustration easily. So when I'm in my Procreate app on my iPad, I click on the right-hand side that little plus button, and that's going to allow me to make a new canvas. So what I want to do first is make sure that I'm working in inches because we want to work in an 8x8 canvas. So I select inches at the bottom and then I type in 8x8 and then I make sure that my DPI is at 300. Remember that's the dots per inch and that is the resolution our illustration needs to be finished at so that our manufacturer can print it. So after my canvas has been made, I want to plug in my colors into a palette so that I can work from it easily. And since the design brief gave you those hex numbers, we are going to create a new palette by clicking the color swatch in the right-hand corner. And we are going to select palettes. And at the upper right-hand side, we're going to click make a new palette with that little plus sign. I'm going to show you quickly how to type in your hex codes so that you can also have your colors. And you're going to go, once the screen for colors comes up, to the hex number, and you're simply going to type in that hex code. And after you've typed it in, you're going to click done. And then you're simply going to click in your blank palette at the bottom and voila, your color shows up. So you will repeat this process until you have every color laid out in your palette, until you have all the hex codes available to use. And now what I can do is on each layer, I can create a new layer for each different color. See, that's why I like working in Procreate. I can work in separate color layers, so it's really easy for me to edit my art and change my colors. All right, let's get started. I want to show you how I went from my sketch to a finished snowman. So this is a time lapse actually of the beginnings of my snowman. So as you can see, it started out with the aqua color in the back, red on the scarf, and then that white color for the snowman. And I really was playing around with form and shape at first until I felt really happy with my snowman. Now you're noticing that as I'm drawing, it's happening on the left and right hand side at the same time, all of my edits, and that's because I use a tool called the symmetry tool. So if you want to know what the symmetry tool does in Procreate, and you may already know this, it allows you to draw something on the left hand side of your screen and it shows up on the right hand side. You're going to look on your screen and you're going to click the tool button at the top and you're going to select Canvas. And then you're going to select on the drop-down menu, Edit Drawing Guide. And after you have edited that drawing guide, you're going to be able to select Symmetry. It's on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. Select it to be either a horizontal symmetry or a vertical symmetry. I am doing a vertical symmetry, and then I'm going to select Done. And then everything I draw on one side of my screen will also show up on the other side. So now to continue showing how my illustration progressed, after I get my basic form and shape and I've decided on my scarf and my top hat and my buttons, now it's about refining my illustration until it feels just right. So at first I had my nose going to the left and smaller eyes, but towards the end of developing this illustration, I decided that it would look way cuter if I had my carrot nose center in the middle, but whenever I had it facing down, it kind of looked like a bird, like a sparrow. So I turned my nose upside down, and then I added a smiley face, coal, smile, and changed the eye shape so that it looked like it was smiling. I filled out the cheeks so that they are on each edge of the face. And then I added in all of my tiny details into the body of my illustration. And that is how I ended up with my final snowman illustration. But wait, you might notice that this is on a rectangle. You're right, I accidentally set up my palette size wrong. So what do? That's okay, I go right into Procreate and I'm able to edit my canvas.
and make it an 8x8 canvas, easy peasy. And look, now it is the desired size for my client. And as I zoom in, you can see all the tiny little details that I drew in to make my snowman more than just a snowman, but to make it a Stacie Bloomfield snowman. So that is how I went from my sketch to my final snowman.
All right, I'm going to set you loose. Get your paper and your pencil out, make your thumbnail sketches. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss the next video in this series.